I'd say it's a slip of the finger.
Eavesdroppin.
Hello, eavesdroppers, and here is another week without Michelle, unfortunately, but we have another guest host, and this week it's the beautiful, the fragrant Crystobelle Mathew-Rosacorde. Matthew. Hello, Chris.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh my God, of course I had to have you because you're wonderful, and you have given me quite a few stories that we have used in the podcast in the past.
I gave you Armie Hammer, I know that.
You did, and
Yeah.
apparently he's back. Have you heard?
Well, he did a Piers Morgan interview.
Oh my
Did
God,
you
how
watch
did it
it?
go? I didn't watch it. How did he go down? Do you feel sorry for him or?
No, not at all. He was like, oh, it was actually all the woman's fault, and nothing is my fault ever in the world.
More of the same then, Army, you dickhead.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, listen, Chris is my young friend. She is a youth compared to me. She's from a different generation. What's your generation, Chris?
Gen Z.
Gen Z, guys.
Yeah.
So we might learn some things today. Michelle and I. Michelle will be listening. She'll be doing the links as always. Chris and I are going to tell you a couple of true crime stories because you've got a bit of a love of true crime, haven't you, Chris?
I do indeed. I fall asleep every night listening to true crime.
Like, what's your favourite? Like, what's your best stories that you love the most?
I don't know if I have a best story that I love the most. I kind of listen to podcasts where it's just like listeners entering their own stuff. I like those a lot.
Oh, like things that have happened to them.
Yeah, but my favourite true crime story of all time is The Watcher, but you guys already covered that, which is super rude.
Well, hang on. Did you like the voices?
I haven't listened to it yet.
She hasn't listened to it, guys. So I'm not sure, Chris, if you should be allowed to be on the podcast without having listened to the favourite episode.
Well, I will have to just make it up to you by telling you a really good story.
That's all I want from you, babes. That's all I want. And that's what's going to happen. Chris, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a music student.
Yes.
And
You have pink hair.
I do. I'm a former emo, which I think is important to the story that I'm going to tell.
This is important, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You are how old? Can we say how old you are?
I'm 21 years of age.
And you're at university studying the music.
Studying the classical music.
Beautiful. You sing beautifully as well, let me point out.
Thank you, Geordie.
Is there any kind of website or any kind of merchandise that you want to push on the podcast?
No, I'm pretty private online.
That's different for a youngster, isn't it?
Yeah, just pretty private online.
Keep a couple of TikToks going in the background and that's about it.
Well, my TikToks are only accessible to a small few.
Oh.
Yeah, it's you and like 10 other people.
Oh my God, I feel so privileged.
Yeah, I do it for friends only.
Good.
On my little private account.
I love that. I love that I'm part of that elite group. And so are our eavesdroppers who are here for the crime, my friend, here for the crime. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story first. How about we launch straight in?
Go on.
All right. Now, you've probably heard it before because you are an aficionado of the true crime. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take you back to July 16th in 2011. How old were you then?
July 16th. You're asking me to do maths.
I know it's maths. We don't like to do
8?
maths. 8. Oh, little Chris. She's only 8.
Just a little baby.
And when that was happening, when you were being 8, Lady Gaga's Born This Way was number 1 in the charts.
Was it?
Yes, and so was Maroon 5. Moves like Jagger, you got the moves like that one.
That one I'm not as fond.
That one.
I'm not as fond of that one. Isn't Adam Levine a creep as well?
Is he a creep? They're all coming out as creeps. Rolf Harris.
I think he's more of an adulterer, but that's a form of creep.
Yes. Okay, well, we'll take that. Is it with a particularly young lady or young gentleman?
Definitely younger.
Right. Yeah.
Than his wife.
I was married. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, they were the top tunes. We do like to do the top 5 or top 3 usually, Chris, as you're not a regular listener. But we're going to go to a place in the United States of America, specifically a place called Port St Lucie in Florida. Now, at about 1:15 p.m. in the afternoon, a 17-year-old called Tyler Hadley posted a message on his Facebook wall. So this is pre-TikTok, okay?
Of course.
party at my crib tonight, ... Maybe is what he posted. At 8:15, Tyler posted another message and it said, party at my house, HMU. What does that mean?
Hit me up.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, right. Okay. I had no idea. One of his pals then texted back, you're going to have to help me again, Chris. WHAO.
WHAO.
Like maybe it meant to say, wow.
I think it's a whoa.
Whoa.
Like a whoa.
Wrong, but they've spelt it wrong. What if your parents come home? To which Tyler replied, they won't. Trust me.
Very suspicious.
Does already sound a bit suspicious, doesn't it? Tyler Hadley was recently grounded for drinking and drug use. And
how old is he again?
He's 17. And his parents weren't really about to let their teenage son throw a party. And some of his friends knew this. So they were incredulous at the fact that there was going to be a party there. So when they asked, what's really going on, he wrote back saying, DK man, I'm working on it. I guess that's don't know, DK?
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, not Dick, not short for Dick, not an abbreviation.
No, definitely not.
So the night of the party, Tyler answered the door. He was wearing a long black T-shirt, black Dickies, which I suppose are like cargo trousers. They're workwear, aren't they, Dickies? You've got some Dickies, have you?
I haven't, but I've dated many a man
in a Dickie
who wears Dickies.
Oh, okay.
Yes. They're one to avoid. I actually think this is the biggest crime of the story.
Right, Dickies.
Yeah, that's where it all went wrong.
He also had Nike. That's how you pronounce it. I've got a friend who works there. There was a little bit of a conversation about that with an English friend. She said, well, in England, we call it Nike. And my friend who is Estonian, she's actually Janneke from Amsterdam, who is a listener, said, well, I work for the company, babe, and it's Nike.
I can't say that I ever say the word out loud much.
Is that another crime?
So I don't think I've put too much thought. But now I'll say Nike. Thank you.
Nike Air Force. Do you even know what they are? They're high top sneakers.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought they were too vintage.
No, I think they're still going. Okay. The Air Force.
So this guy, he answered the door wearing that outfit, which I don't think has really won any prizes over on your side. No. Has it, Chris? No. And he seemed anxious because he was on ecstasy as well. He had his big old eyes. His pupils were massive and he kept rubbing his hands together and clenching his fists.
Oh, it happens to the best of us.
And he told his guests, I don't want anyone smoking inside. This is my parents' house. But before you knew it, Chris, there were 60 bloody kids in the house and most of them had no idea even who Tyler was.
Happens to the best of us once again.
Don't tell your mother. So they made themselves at home and they played something called beer pong on the dining table. Do you know what that is?
I do. I played it at my 20th birthday.
And what is it?
It's ping pong, but instead of actually having, paddles.
Yeah. But you throw a beer bottle at someone.
You throw a little. Surely you've played beer pong before.
No.
You throw a little ping pong ball into cups of beer.
Okay.
And then if someone gets it into the other side, so they have to drink the beer with the dirty ping pong ball inside.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, foul. All right, so they played that game. They played that on the dining table, and then they went through all the kitchen cupboards looking for food, and they all were hanging outside the driveway out the front, and they were throwing empty cans onto the lawn. The neighbours were up in arms. And in the living room, there were bottles falling on the floor and breaking, and these kids were just laughing about it. They didn't care. They're putting cigarettes out on the rug and all that kind of shit. On the kitchen counter, everywhere, on the wall. But at this point, Tyler no longer seemed to care that this was his parents' house, and he was worried about the neighbours. That was the only thing he was worried about, the neighbours complaining.
Well, he is on ecstasy. It's notorious for not being a very worrisome drug while you're on it.
He's a bit easy breezy.
Yeah.
So people kept asking Tyler, for some reason, where his parents were, and he told them different things, like, they went to Georgia, or they went to Orlando. And eventually he said, they don't live here. And he said to one guy, this is my house.
Oh.
But you know what actually happened, don't you, Chris?
I'm guessing that there was a murder involved.
A couple. He killed his parents to have a party. He was pissed off with them because after he did the drunk driving thing and they...
Wait, drunk driving?
Well, he'd driven home drunk one night.
Whoa! You just said he was doing drugs and drinking.
Yeah.
You didn't say he was drunk driving.
Well, one day he came home and he was drunk and he'd been driving, and his mum, who's called Mary Jo, she took the car away, took the phone away, all to punish him. and he was furious, right? He was,
Well, yeah, drunk driving's dangerous.
I know. I like to hear a young person say that. You're so sensible. I love it.
Well, I don't know anyone who drives, so it would be very hard to drunk drive.
We're London. We do the buses and the tubes, don't we?
Exactly.
And the Ubers.
And the Ubers.
Well, he was furious with his mum after this, and he told his friends that he was going to kill her. But of course, they all just thought he was joking.
In the silly way.
Yeah, exactly. But there was a Facebook chat, and one of his friends' name was Mercedes Marco. I guess that's a girl. Maybe it's a guy. I don't know. But this is about 2 weeks before the party. Tyler's chatting with Mercedes, and he says, "Oh, lol, yup, she's a cunt. For show, I might kill her."
Faux show.
Faux show. Mercedes goes, "OMG, no, jail, or I mean prison, lol." Hadley went, "Oh well," with a weird kind of, it looks like a testicle to me. It's like an arrow and a 3. Like an ice cream.
An arrow and a 3?
Yeah, like this kind of a V, a sideways V and a 3. What's that?
It's kind of like a menacing face with like an upturned smile.
How can you even see that? I can't see that.
The thing is, I was so deep on the internet, but I was so deep into the emoticons. I refused to use emojis. It would always be like those kind of emoticons.
Typing them out.
Yeah.
That's what they're called, emoticons.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this bloody idiot, Tyler, he then had another conversation with a friend called Matthew Nobile, and he said, their text message conversation, I'm going to read it out to you. Matt.
I can't wait.
Did you do it? Tyler. No, but I'm gonna. Matt. Bet? Matt. You really should now. Do it. Tyler said, don't worry, I am. Tyler. Then I'm having a party. Matt. Yeah, party time, N-I. What does that mean?
Party time, N-I.
N-I, the initials. Oh, national insurance?
National.
Probably not.
Party time, national insurance.
I'd say it's a slip of the finger.
Yeah. I have no clue what's going on.
It's pretty crazy. Well, listen, I'm going to tell you a little bit now, Chris, about where they were growing up. It's not like where you grew up in London town. This place is Port St Lucie, which is famous for just 2 things. The New York Mets, professional baseball team, which is based in New York City in the borough of Queens, but they have their spring training camp there. And also marijuana farms, Chris. There's a lot of them there.
Ooh.
So many that it's known as Port St Lucie. See what they did?
Wait, so what state is this in?
It's Florida.
Oh, Florida. Oh, notoriously,
Potty.
Floridians are known for good decision making, so this checks out.
Okay. So there's lots of pot. They think that there's lots of marijuana everywhere. The parties are always full of it.
So when are we going?
When are we going to Port St Lucie?
Yeah.
Never. Because there's a bunch of bored kids there having stupid parties and killing their parents.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
Shall I tell you about what happened to them?
Yeah, go on.
So this is where the details get a little bit gruesome. So he took his parents' phones so they couldn't call for help, first of all. So I reckon what he did was he went around and he hid them before they had any inkling that this was going to happen. Then he popped the ecstasy about at 5 o'clock in the afternoon because he thought he couldn't do it without being high.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense to you?
Yeah.
Then he found a hammer in the garage, and while his mum was on the computer, he stared at the back of her head for about 5 minutes. Then he swung the hammer into her head.
What a freaky little weirdo.
And she didn't even, she was not dead immediately. She turned around and screaming at him, why? She screamed, why? Oh, and then at that point, I think the father, Blake, he heard these screams, ran in to help, and he was so shocked at what he saw, he also started shouting, why, at Tyler, to which Tyler replied, why the fuck not, before beating them both to death with the hammer.
What the hell? Well, obviously, yeah, he got high to do the murder.
But he had the intent as well.
Yeah, but the intent was while he was of sound mind. And was it his friend Matt?
He said, do it, Matt, yeah, go on, kill him. Let's have a party, man.
Is that not...
Well, he's an accessory.
Yeah,
maybe.
Accessory to murder. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Wow. So then he kills them. He drags them into their bedroom, cleans up the scene, threw the bloody towels and cleaning wipes onto the bed, shut the door, planned the party. So now the party's in full swing, and Tyler's having a chat to one of his friends, Michael Mandel, and he said to Mike, in a moment of clarity, he said, Mike, I killed my parents. But Mike didn't believe him. He just thought, yeah, whatever. You killed your parents, of course.
Yeah, that's a totally normal thing you say.
Exactly. But Tyler insisted. He said, I really did it. He said, have a look in the driveway. Both parents' cars are there, not in Georgia, not in Orlando. But Mike still thought that Tyler was pranking him. So Tyler took him to the bedroom, showed him the bodies. And so Mike then said of that moment, the party's going on over here, and I turned the doorknob, I looked down, and I saw his father's leg against the door. So he's utterly stunned. But he didn't leave the party straight away, which is a little bit strange. Instead, he said, for some weird reason, he took a selfie with Tyler before leaving to call Crime Stoppers, where he left an anonymous tip that Tyler Hadley had killed both his parents in a hammer attack.
Ooh.
Which is odd, right?
Yeah. I guess he's in shock.
Maybe. But he did call it in, which is good.
Yeah.
We're happy about that. So now the party's still going, and the police rushed to the Hadley house. Tyler answered the door to the police, and he told them, no, his parents are out of town, and he wouldn't let them in. But of course, they came in anyway. And according to arrest papers, Tyler seemed nervous and frantic, very talkative while speaking to the officers.
Well, he was on ecstasy.
Exactly. And obviously the police saw all the party detritus of the ciggy butts and the furniture thrown away. Also dried blood on the walls.
People were partying while there was it close to Halloween? I don't understand.
I don't think they cared,
God.
really. They just went in and went nuts and made a real mess of the place. So they found Blake Hadley's body under the furniture in the bedroom and Mary Jo's body nearby, and immediately arrested Tyler for murder of his parents.
Yeah.
So he then was sentenced to 2 life terms in 2014 after a 9-day hearing, but an appeals court threw the punishment out in 2016 and sent the case back for a new sentence where he got another life sentence. But he's serving them concurrently, so I guess that means together rather than consecutively. And it could be up for review in about 20 years.
Well, that's crazy.
I don't understand why, but apparently Tyler must have said at some point during the court case he was considering taking his own life had the police not come in after doing the murders, but he just had one hell of a party. And during the party, before the police arrived, he even posted one last time on Facebook at about 4:40 in the morning, which was at the time that the police were on the way to his house, and he wrote, "Party at my house again, HMU.
Hit me up.
Hit me up."
Yeah.
So he didn't feel that bad. And that is the horrific tale of Tyler
Hadley?
Tyler Dickley, let's just call him
Dickley.
that, who killed his bloody parents. The Florida man who killed his parents just so he could have a party.
Wow.
You would never go to such lengths, would you, Chris?
Well, the thing is, I don't enjoy having parties within my own abode because the cleanup of that. And to add 2 murders to that cleanup.
Exactly. That's an awful lot of exertion.
That's a lot of cleaning.
Yeah.
That's just so much cleaning. But also, what a weirdo. Like, did he have an okay relationship with them in, like, childhood? Or
Well, yeah, I think he did.
So, just a normal upbringing.
Yeah. I didn't do that much research, Chris. I kind of just threw this one together for a young person. Thought the party might appeal.
Oh, some birds just flew by in a fleet and they were green. They must have been like parakeets or something.
They'll be the parakeets, the West London parakeets. They're famous.
Wonderful.
You know why they're there?
Why?
Have you not heard the myths about the parakeets of West London?
I probably have, but I've probably forgotten.
So they've been around for a long time. People say that it's because when the filming of The African Queen was happening with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall over in Pinewood Studios, which is westish, southwestish London.
I didn't know that was shot there.
Yes, on a soundstage. They had real birds shipped over from Africa, and at the end, I think they just let them go and they bred.
That's a magical story.
Isn't it? Don't know if it's true.
I like that.
We'll have that.
I want it to be true.
We'll take it.
But it's crazy that it survived for so long.
I know.
I know they've bred, but
There's
like...
masses of them. You wake up to parrots.
Yeah,
on.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
It is nice.
It's that moment in time.
She meets statistics.
Step me up.
So tell me about your story that you're bringing to us today, us eavesdroppers.
So, this story I thought would be quite interesting because myself, was a fan of the person that I'm about to be talking about. His name is Onision, and he was an American YouTuber. He's still alive.
No spoilers.
But he's no longer a YouTuber. And he made like sketch comedy.
Oh, right.
And like satire content. And I'm being very loose with the word comedy because it wasn't that funny. But he had other channels where he'd talk about more personal issues and do commentary. He had this series with easily like 100 videos where he'd ask his fans to submit pictures of their body.
Oh, no.
And he would rate them.
I don't like this. How young were his fans?
Well, when I was watching him, I was like 12. I never submitted a photo, thankfully, but I think that was the main demographic.
Ugh.
And he'd always be like, oh, but I say 18 plus, I say 18 plus. And it's like, yeah, but you know that's not
his demographic.
And he was so horrible in these videos to these very, very young girls, just outwardly calling them fat.
No.
And he was very critical of women of colour as well, about how black women do their hair, which is just not his place as a white man. But I'm going to give you a little timeline of events with Onision.
I'm here for this revolting motherfucker. Let's do it.
Yeah, this is a crazy one because it is just so many crimes under one man.
Oh, gosh.
Just a man's crazy life story.
Okay. How have I never heard of him? Because it's not my area, not my era.
To be fair, he just was never that relevant, I think is the main thing of it. So it's like this niche corner of the internet where when you're in the know, you're in the know.
Yeah.
But there actually was a Discovery Plus documentary on him.
Ooh.
But I'll get into that.
Okay. Can't wait. I'm settling down for this.
So Onision was born November 11th, 1985, Scorpio.
You didn't do the top threes?
Well, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm sorry.
Oh. Just have to leave that hanging.
So he was born as Gregory James Daniel, but is also known as Greg/James Jackson. He changes his name so many times, but we're just going to call him Greg or Onision.
Onision sounds like it would be Japanese.
Well, we get onto Onision, but I'm just going to call him Greg for the majority. There's going to be no mention of James. I can't be bothered to use the name James.
Fair enough. You just pick something and stick with it, Chris.
So in his videos, he'd always detail these really fantastical events from his childhood. He talks about how when he was born blue with his umbilical cord around his neck, which is something that happens. Yeah. But he also claims that his head circumference was 15.5 inches.
How big is that? I'm just trying to think about that in inches. That's like 34 centimeters or something.
Yeah.
What did I say? 34? That seems so specific. I didn't Google it.
I don't know. But that's a pretty massive head.
Yeah, that is a big head for a little baby.
As someone who's given birth, can you confirm?
Well, let me just do it in centimeters first. What did you say? What's 15?
15.5 inches.
Oh, it's 30 centimetres, so I wasn't far off. I was 4 centimetres off.
That's massive.
That's the size of a ruler. That's too big.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen.
But I don't think that's a real thing. He just says all these fantastical things. He also talks about all these massive love affairs he had in his childhood, all before the age of 10.
Wow.
Which I just don't think happened.
This is kind of illustrating the sort of person that we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything in his life is super grand and super crazy. Yeah.
Sounds like he might be and I don't want to spoil your story, but is he a narcissist?
Oh, most definitely, Geordie. And the next thing I'm about to tell you only confirms that further.
Okay.
So his family were members of the Church of the Seventh-day Adventists, which are they Mormons, but they're not Mormons.
They're happy clappy, I think.
Yeah.
Do they have a lot of wives and things? Do they do that? I don't know.
No, they don't, because I looked it up. They're similar to Mormonism in that they take a lot from the Jewish faith.
Okay.
But they don't do all the multiple wives and the hierarchy.
Right.
But in 1997, his family stopped attending the church, and Greg alleges that he starts to put together his cult.
Oh, no.
Named Sieska. And keep in mind, he would have only been 11 or 12 at the time.
Yeah, okay. He sounds like Jim Jones.
Who's Jim Jones?
Jim Jones is the guy who made everyone drink the Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Oh,
in Guyana. He was doing sermons when he was about 11. But for kids. For kids, it was a game.
Well, I don't think Greg had any friends. This was just him muttering to himself in a corner, being, I'm going to start a cult someday, and this cult's going to be really cool. So now we're going to jump forward to 2003, the year of my birth, actually.
Oh, congratulations. Welcome to the world, Chris.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. So this is when things hit a turning point, because he gets very involved in stuff online. He creates numerous websites, and they're all about his interests in like art and music and his cult, Sieska. How old would he have been? Like 18 at this point? So he starts dating a girl who's the year below him at school, and this girl later becomes his wife. Her name is Sky.
That's quick.
Yeah, it's all very quick. In 2004, Greg graduates, and the following year he joins the Air Force pretty much on a whim.
Yeah.
Literally, he claims that the night before he joins, he was like, I should join the Air Force, and then does it.
Are you sure that he did it? Did he do it?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of evidence that he joined the Air Force. He was stationed in South Korea, then there's everything, there's blah, blah, blah.
So there's evidence of that?
Yeah, we'll get there.
All right.
So during this time, he makes loads and loads of really worrying blog posts about his relationship, where he talks about where he argues with Sky, he's trying to teach her something.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Educator, husband, educator, controller.
Yeah. And apparently her mum is against their relationship because she can see his anger issues.
Right.
So when Greg completes his basic training, he proposes to Sky so that she can accompany him when he's deployed. And they marry very soon after. I think in Texas. I haven't written it down here. Don't think that matters very much.
Take a stab at that.
Yeah. So since this, Sky has spoken out about their 5-year marriage and has said that he demanded she kept her hair short.
Oh.
And he would say stuff to her like if she didn't wear shorts under her skirt, she would be raped.
What?
Yeah, very insane stuff. And you know that comes from, I'd rape a girl if they didn't wear shorts under their skirt, so therefore I'm going to enforce this on my wife.
God.
She also talked about how Greg would spend up to 3 hours each day masturbating to hentai.
To what?
Hentai?
What's that?
For those who aren't in the know, hentai is...
Is it a band?
No, hentai is Japanese animated porn.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I understand. 3 hours? Ouch.
Yeah, each day.
God.
And Greg's porn addiction comes up a lot in this. Okay. 2006, he creates his YouTube channel, Onision, the name coming from Oni meaning one and Sion meaning divine community, thus coming together to mean one divine community.
Yeah.
Now we're skipping forward a bit again. 2008, he's discharged from the Air Force, and that's listed as a general discharge under honourable conditions. So during this time, Sky becomes the primary breadwinner of the household, and incel Greg finds that absolutely unacceptable.
Incel? Why is he an incel? Involuntary celibate?
Just his behaviour, his attitudes towards
She's
women.
canned it for him. She's like, no, you're not getting it. I'm going to keep those shorts on because I do not want you near me.
Apparently they don't spend enough time together because she's always too busy working, being the main breadwinner. So in 2010, his YouTube career really takes off because he releases a video called I'm a Banana, which shows the absolute genius of his artistry. It was this song where he just goes over and over again, I'm a banana, I'm a banana, I'm a banana, like just over and over again.
Baby shark, baby shark,
Well, at least that had more...
Yeah, there's a grandma.
Yeah, there was a bit of difference. It wasn't just I'm a banana and a very grown man, how old, 25, he would have been 25 at this point, just saying I'm a banana in a banana costume.
Oh, he's in a costume as well. I mean, that makes sense.
He's in a costume. Oh, of course he wouldn't be out of a costume. During this time, he becomes one of the top 100 most subscribed to channels on YouTube.
So how, Chris, how does this happen when he's just online, dressed as a banana, singing I'm a banana? Why is that so enticing?
I think it's important to note that at this time in YouTube, it was truly like the Wild West.
Right.
Like, it was still very new. I know it had been going on for about 5 years at that point, but it was still very new. And I guess a lot of people didn't have the right equipment to be filming stuff for. You know, it's not as easy with, like, your phone.
Mm-hmm.
This man had equipment and he was filming silly content, and I guess that was the humour of the time, where it's like random equals funny kind of thing. He also makes lots of content geared towards teenage girls where he gives them sex advice.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me feel quite creeped out.
It's very creepy. No 25-year-old man should be giving teenage girls sex advice. Firstly, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
What does he know? He's an incel.
Exactly. So around this time, he starts gaining the attention of a 17-year-old Canadian singer named Shiloh. She reaches out to Greg in an email asking for relationship advice due to being in an abusive relationship. And that's not far out of stuff that Greg does. He gives these young teenage girls advice all the time. So soon after this, they would begin an emotional affair. Keep in mind, he's still married.
Got it.
She was freshly 17 and he was 25. So after this affair begins, like months after, Onision would finally serve divorce papers to his wife Skye and would force her to sign it under distress. There was also a whole thing where the courts they threw it out because they could see that she was forced to sign them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but eventually they did get a proper divorce and he was ordered to pay alimony payments. In December, this is when it gets so criminal.
Oh no.
So in December of 2010, Greg would arrange to meet Shiloh in Pennsylvania, which is a state where they could legally have sex.
Oh no.
And this is actually illegal. This is illegal to
arrange that.
It's
trafficking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is actually legitimately trafficking.
Yeah.
And Shiloh claims that they had sex almost immediately, like just the first thing they did when they saw each other. There was also this whole fiasco where the hotel they were staying at reported this to the local authorities because Onision, Greg, he turned up with loads of filming equipment.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And this really young girl. Oh, that's awful. No wonder. You have to call the cops.
Well, yeah, they called the police and his laptop was checked for child pornography, which makes sense. There probably was loads there, but they didn't find anything, I don't think. But Shiloh falls out with her mother as she believes it was actually her who called the police, which would be her right. Okay. But also I can imagine that Greg was like, oh, what if it was your mother, to try and single her out kind of thing.
And isolate her, yes.
Yeah, classic narcissistic abuse, basically. So she's later come out and detailed how abusive this relationship was.
Okay, so that's both the wife and Shiloh now have come forward.
Yeah. He would restrict what clothes she could wear, who she could contact, what she could consume. Okay, side note, Onision is vegan. He's mega vegan. He once made a video where he was shirtless and he like screamed into the microphone, "This is my vegan body!" Oh, God. This man is like vegan with a capital V. And it's a common theme throughout his relationships that he tries to make his wives and girlfriends go vegan too.
So it's a control thing?
Yeah. And he also wouldn't allow her to wear makeup. So in early 2011, they move in together into an apartment in Toronto. She's still 17 at the time. And during this time, he shows her all the pornography he consumes.
Ew.
Including graphic hentai, the hentai again.
Not the hentai. I already hate that stuff.
I know, of underage girls getting raped.
No!
Yeah. She's obviously very, very distraught.
This is awful.
It's really horrid.
It is just cartoons, but still, it's dark.
But he's masturbating to it. He likes the idea of it.
I don't like this guy.
Well,
it gets worse.
You're on the right track. Right. Also, a little side note, some of the stuff that he was masturbating to were photos of a young girl named Alicia.
Oh.
And fun fact about Alicia, she is his ex-wife's younger sister.
Oh, no.
And I don't say too much about Alicia and all this, just because there is literally so much. I've tried to condense it as much as possible. But he stays basically harassing this girl for the next 10 years. So a few months after turning 18, Shiloh suffers a seizure due to stress. These are after Greg keeps making comments about her being clinically obese. She was not clinically obese. Nowhere close. He claimed she had to lose weight because he couldn't pick her up during sex. Everything is about sex for this man. Just everything. He then uploads a video to YouTube named Shiloh Forgot Me, documenting her having a seizure-like episode and losing 3 years of memory.
What? Did that happen?
Yeah.
She lost 3 years of memory.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Temporarily.
All right.
But it's later revealed that shortly after this, Greg took her into the bathroom in the middle of having sex and forcibly shaved her head.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So she was out.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's so intense. And she actually posted a video and she's like, I'm bald now. I think she takes it down because they break up a few days later. And Greg says that the reason that they broke up is because Shiloh threatened to kill herself and was sent to a mental health facility.
All this is playing out on YouTube in front of their millions of followers.
Yeah, I remember this all happening, like,
You
very
remember?
vividly. Yeah.
What did your little mind make of all that?
I'm just not sure. I think I definitely come from this time of the internet where parents just weren't aware of what was going on YouTube. So there was all that unlimited, unrestricted internet access. So I don't really remember what I thought. I remember watching this all play out and I remember just being like, still like Onision. My little brain couldn't comprehend.
Yeah, you thought he was funny. I might have to go and ask my children if they know about this person.
I doubt they would.
Okay.
Because in their time, he's just so far gone.
Okay, good.
But he makes loads of public videos trying to make himself out to be the victim, and then he deletes them because everyone's like, I'm not sure if you are the victim.
Yeah.
Because any sane person with eyes can see that he's an abuser.
But the followers still remain.
Yeah, the followers remain.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, really.
Yeah. I think it's because he has all these different YouTube channels. This content goes on, I think, his channel Onision Speaks or Onision Archives. He had so many different channels. So there was the main Onision YouTube, and then there's Onision Archives, Uh-Oh Bro, and Onision Speaks.
Uh-oh, bro. Oh, God. Was he making money out of all this? Was he making the coin?
Yeah, he was. He was making quite a bit.
Ugh.
Because also this was before advertising on YouTube got more complicated.
Okay.
So he was making money. So after they break up, he obviously starts talking about how much he regrets divorcing Sky and how it's his biggest regret in life, and he tries to get back with her to no avail.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And he eventually starts dating a new girl named Adrian for a very, very, very short amount of time. And in that short amount of time, he makes videos and it's like, she saved me, she's my one, she's my only. But in September of 2011, Shiloh and Greg get back together and announce that they're actually engaged. So during this time where they're back together, they both make loads of YouTube videos at the time, basically slut-shaming Adrian, saying she's unclean down there.
God, that's awful.
Horrible! Literally horrid.
Why are they bullying in a public domain?
I don't understand why, if Shiloh was pressured into bullying, or if Greg just made it seem a lot worse than it actually was. I don't know. But he actually makes a video, another YouTube video, where he takes Shiloh to the clinic to get tested after what he calls his dirty rebound.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, because he was with Adrian.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not very nice at all.
It's horrid. I can't imagine how this poor Adrian must have been feeling.
I'm just absolutely floored at this story already, Chris.
Well, in October, it gets weirder, I fear. Oh. In October, Greg and Shiloh announce that they are expecting, and 2 months later, they announce they have miscarried.
Oh.
During this time, Shiloh returns to Canada due to medical issues, and her mother, and I think this is the best thing her mother could have done, hides her passport to prevent her from returning to the US.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, which I think just it needed to happen.
Yes.
So she doesn't see Greg. Shiloh describes this as being their final breakup, but Greg doesn't. So Greg claims that he cheated on her during this time, but who cares?
Ugh. I care. Well, I don't actually care. I think better off that she's not with him, to be honest.
Exactly. So during this time is when he starts making all his absolutely crazy content, like what I said, where he's commenting on young girls' bodies. There's this woman named Eugenia Cooney on the internet, and she's very underweight. And he made loads of videos about her, just so many videos. This was years worth of videos just talking about her weight.
What can people do to stop that from happening? Is there any protections in place?
No.
It's just okay to just make videos.
Well, it actually got to a point where this poor girl, to be fair, there's Eugenia Cooney, there's stuff to be said about her and her behaviour, but it came to a point where she actually made an apology video for being too skinny. And she was too skinny, but obviously she had a health issue or a mental health issue going on. But that's not for me to comment on.
And it's not for Onision to comment on.
Well, exactly. He doesn't know the girl. And also during this time, he starts talking about Adrian once again.
Oh, poor Adrian.
And makes a comment that she, and this is his words, not mine, that she couldn't be sexually assaulted due to the number of partners she's had.
Oh my God. What does that even mean?
I don't...
Does he mean that she's just gagging for it all the time?
Yeah.
So it would never be a no.
Exactly.
Oh, I hate him.
He's horrid. Like, this is just an absolute misogynist narcissist.
I hope that there's a really happy ending where he gets his comeuppance.
Kind of.
Okay.
We'll
Keep
see.
going. Tell me.
But after these comments, he gets removed from VidCon, which was like a big convention where YouTubers ran by Hank Green, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know who that is.
He's the brother of the guy who wrote The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, that was a film.
Yeah, a little bit of YouTuber lore.
Okay. I'm learning so much here.
Yeah. Oh, what a time to be on the internet, honestly. But he gets removed from the VidCon guest list and he claims he's being censored for holding unpopular opinions.
Oh. The old chestnut, he sounds like a politician.
He sounds like every male podcaster at the moment, getting censored by the woke mob. In 2012, Greg starts DMing with another teenage fan called Taylor. So Taylor is known by quite a few names, Laney-Bot, Cool Guy Kai, but has now transitioned from female to male, so we will refer to him as Lucas, and by he, him pronouns, which may get confusing because we talk a lot about pregnancy in relation to Lucas.
Right, okay.
So this is a notice. Lucas, he, him, for most of his story, was going by she, her, or they, them.
Right.
And they hadn't transitioned yet.
But thanks to you being Gen Z, you've now explained that beautifully, and now we can all get on board with that.
Yay!
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
So they begin privately dating. Lucas is 17 and Greg is 26. In March, they would get unofficially engaged and would meet in New Mexico for the first time, where they would obviously have sex.
Right. Straight in there. They keep staying the same age, 17, but he keeps getting older.
You have no idea. They actually get younger at one point, which is horrific. From his marriage ending till now, he's also harassing Sky, his ex-wife, saying that the alimony payments are making him suicidal. He then later admits he wasn't actually suicidal and was just trying to manipulate Sky into terminating the payments.
Oh.
Which is crazy to admit online. He also made a video where he compares his alimony payments to slavery, and he likens Sky to a slave owner.
Because he had to pay her alimony.
Oh, womp womp, Onision. You cheated on your wife with a 17-year-old and now you have to pay alimony.
Yeah. You do the crime, you do the time.
Exactly. In October 2012, a week after Lucas turns 18, Onision officially announces their relationship, and in November they secretly got married without telling Lucas's family.
Oh no.
Despite Skip being married, Greg continues to harass all his exes online.
Why? What's wrong with him? How can he just move on?
He can't let it go. In June of 2013, Lucas announces he is pregnant. Mm-hmm. This child is born January 2014, but the one good thing Onision has ever done, he has never shared his children online.
How many does he have?
I don't really know. I think 2, but it could also be 3.
Okay. It's not as many as eavesdropper Elon Musk then. He's an eavesdropper, by the way.
Is he?
Oh, yeah. Yes, he sent us messages and everything.
Has he?
Did he send us a message or did he just follow us? I think he followed. He liked...
Elon Musk followed you?
No, he hasn't followed us. He's liked all of our reels.
Oh.
Yeah.
How random.
I know.
Well, he's got many kids. Have you seen what he's been doing with his oldest kid recently?
No. What?
I think it's his oldest, came out as trans.
How old is that oldest?
Probably early 20s.
Okay.
And I think he's like, my child's dead.
Oh, no.
It's dead. And the child has spoken out and is like, I'm not dead, actually. I'm okay.
I'm fine.
I'm just trans.
Yeah. Not what Daddy wanted.
Yeah, back to Onision. Yeah, they never share their children online. So Greg starts talking about his cult Siesko again.
Oh, I thought that was dormant.
Well, The thing is, Sieska is such a flop. It's just showing that, you know, this man's a narcissist.
Yeah.
He wants a cult. He wants one so bad. In August of 2014, Lucas would begin talking to a fan of him and Greg's named Sarah, who was freshly 14.
Oh, no.
Lucas would share intimate details of his intimate life with Onision with Sarah, and the two would share first trap photos.
What is that?
Sexy photos.
Oh, gosh. All of the new vernacular that I'm learning, though, Chris. Thank you for this.
Honestly, Greg and Lucas, they're pretty well suited because they're both groomers.
Oh.
Yeah. In 2015, Lucas makes a joke about grooming Sarah. Sarah is 15 and Lucas is 20 at this time.
Mm-mm.
Lucas also comes out as bisexual and genderqueer, and this is when he begins trying out different names and using they/them pronouns.
Okay.
Also, this is a side note, I was a really big fan. Really big. I used to DM...
Of Lucas?
Lucas and Onision. I used to DM with the two of them on Twitter.
No.
Yeah.
It's very close to home.
Very close to home. Me and Lucas would used to talk about, like, stuff to do with my family. And
But not sexy things, Chris.
No,
Tell me
not
that.
sexy things.
No.
Not sexy things. But I used to do live streams with him on YouNow, which was a live stream thingy.
Right.
That's enough about me.
Wow.
Greg announces that he is allowing Lucas to date women outside of their marriage to explore his bisexuality.
Okay.
But it's probably more accurate to say that Greg was pressuring
Yes.
them to seek out a girlfriend. In August of 2015, shortly after Sarah turns 15, Lucas begins talking with her romantically and talks about kissing her once she turns 18. Greg and Lucas during this time get in like so many fights on Twitter. Like, just very public
With
fights.
each other?
Yeah. They're in the same house and they're tweeting at each other, fighting.
From different rooms.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it's stuff about Lucas's diet, because Lucas isn't vegan.
Not vegan.
Yeah,
Was.
he's pescatarian.
Not the same, not good enough as far as Greg's concerned. Yes.
Lucas actually has an iron deficiency and other health problems. But no, that's not a good enough reason.
No.
They also argue about music. It's very stupid. I remember this all happening so well. Then in November of 2015, Lucas begins dating 18-year-old Billy Dawn Webb, who believes that she would be exclusively dating Lucas. When meeting for the first time, Greg pressures the two to kiss in front of him.
Oh, dear.
Billy is 18, Lucas is 21, and Greg is 30.
Oh.
The first time Billy had sex with either party was actually in a freeway.
With either party?
Yeah. So the first time Billy had sex with Greg or Lucas was in a
Yeah.
freeway with the two of them.
What do you mean a freeway? Like the road?
What do you...
Oh, in a
No,
three-way.
threesome. Yeah.
Gosh. Oh, no, that poor thing.
Imagine being 18 and having a threesome with a 30-year-old man
No.
and his wife. Ridiculous.
God.
Anyway, apparently sex was a daily occurrence, and Billy and Lucas would have to tend to the child and the house when they weren't having sex.
So it was just like constant sex, 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 but except when you have to go and do your chores and then you come
Yeah.
back to it. It's almost like a job.
Well, exactly. Greg basically orchestrated this whole thing so he could get another sexual partner and also a live-in maid, basically.
No.
So then in 2016, Lucas and Billy break up, and Lucas briefly separates from Greg after thinking he is too romantically close to Billy. But Greg and Lucas get back together shortly
Yeah.
after, and Lucas announces another pregnancy. Apparently there was a whole thing with this pregnancy where when Lucas tells Onision, Greg, that he's pregnant, Greg just says, "Do you want a hug?"
Oh, no.
So Billy, Lucas and Greg all start dating again.
Yeah.
Now, in September of 2016, Sarah, who is now 16, visits Greg and Lucas for the first time in person. During this visit, there are jokes that Greg, Lucas and Billy are in a love square with Sarah. The couple eventually invites Sarah to live with them due to her tumultuous home life. And this is crazy, crazy. Lucas is granted power of attorney over Sarah.
How? How did that happen?
Sarah's mother gave permission.
That's insane.
It's insane.
Are they all kind of a little bit starstruck because they're on the YouTubes?
I don't even know. I think she obviously didn't have a good relationship with her parents, and her parents didn't care that much.
Yikes.
It's absolutely mental. And apparently Sarah was treated as a live-in nanny and maid.
Gosh, you know what? This sounds like so many stories that we've told before on this podcast over the years.
But it's all in one.
This guy, he's doing this all recently and all on the world stage in a way.
Everyone knew
People
about
know.
it. Everyone knew.
Huh.
So Greg was incredibly abusive to Sarah. He'd verbally berate her and manipulate her. He'd also make loads of inappropriate sexual comments about her. And keep in mind, she's a teenager. He's in his 30s now.
Vicky.
And during this time, Lucas breaks down to Billy, confiding that they were afraid for their unborn daughter due to Greg's treatment of women, which you would be.
I'm not surprised. Yes, absolutely. Who wants to raise a child in that environment?
Well, exactly. In November 2016, Greg and Billy would have sex without Lucas present. Greg claims he felt the rules of their throuple were unfair to him, as Lucas and Billy could be together with no boundaries, but he and Billy couldn't. After this incident, the trio, they separate, and shortly after their second child is born. It's crazy that they were having threesomes while Lucas was heavily pregnant. Like, obviously, have sex while pregnant, but threesomes while heavily pregnant, that must be emotional.
I can't even imagine what was going through Lucas's mind at the time. Yeah.
Then over the next couple of months, their relationship with Billy begins to be like on and off again, and Sarah is just there doing the housework.
Oh, well, it's kind of like she got off easy, really, if she doesn't have to have sex.
In 2017, Greg publicly addresses concerns over Sarah living with him and Lucas, accusing those questioning the couple's motives of being perverts. And then later on, they send Sarah home because I think one of Sarah's friends threatened to release information about the relationship because of Greg's treatment of Sarah.
Now, shit's getting real. People are wanting to throw the darts.
Yeah. So they send her home. Then in the next few months, she would actually return, but in secret, so the couple would avoid criticism. But she would be asked to leave once again because she tried to address all the sexual comments that Greg would make towards her. Okay, so there are also three other girls that they had these weird throuple relationships with, but I'm just talking about Sarah and Billy because they're the juiciest, and also it's more, I'm trying to condense it. So in 2018, before Sarah turns 18, Onision and Lucas's relationship with her becomes more sexual and inappropriate. While it seems that the romantic relationship was only shared between Lucas and Sarah, Greg would make a ton of sexual comments to Sarah, as well as throwing constant verbal abuse her way. This is just kind of a side note, but it kind of shows just how the absolute wide array of issues this man has. He was performing illicit work on a protected wetland.
What?
So random.
Performing illicit work? So what? He was clearing the glade or something?
Yeah, he was doing stuff without permission, and that was a whole other legal battle, but it doesn't really matter. So in September of 2018, Sarah cuts off Greg and Lucas for the first time, but it's very short-lived. January 2019, Greg makes a video clarifying that he and Lucas haven't slept together with Sarah.
Right. Ever?
Yes.
Oh.
But later that month, they all sleep together.
Okay.
Accidentally slipped into a teenager again. Sarah is 18, Lucas is 24, and Greg is 33. Yucko as hell. Sarah has also mentioned that the couple's youngest child would often be in the same bed while they were having threesomes.
Oh, no. Oh, this is abuse. No, I don't like that at all. That's terrible.
It's very strange. So Sarah cuts them off once again, only to regain contact a few months later after Greg pressures her too.
Sarah, yo-yo.
But I guess, she's been abused by these two.
Maybe a little Stockholm Syndrome at play here.
Yeah, I mean, she's been groomed for the past 4 years, from 14 to 18. Yeah. But Greg pressures her to come back, and they have sex privately, thus cheating on Lucas.
Right.
Then Greg later breaks up with Sarah, and he tries to, illegitimize any claims Sarah could make by claiming that she has borderline and that people with borderline personality disorder, unreliable narrators with trust issues who shouldn't be trusted.
Well, he would know.
Then around this time, loads of Onision's victims and exes come out about their experiences with him. And this, in my opinion, really marks the end of his YouTube career. Like, this man was not making any money from YouTube after this. It just wasn't happening. He started a Patreon, I think.
Okay, Patreon. We've got a Patreon. Have I mentioned it?
Oh, go donate to the Patreon.
That's right.
The few psychopaths who'd still be like, we love Onision.
So they would pay for the Patreon, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, the man wasn't making money.
Thank God, I say.
But as well as his mistreatment of women, Onision has also been accused of child neglect.
Oh, those babies.
So many times. There was actually one time where his child fell out of a window. His infant child.
Oh, no.
And Greg's first reaction was to rush downstairs and not call an ambulance, but to film it to show to the law enforcement that he had nothing to do with it.
Oh, my God. Did the child survive?
Yes, child's all right. But it did have a major head injury.
Sure.
Chris Hansen also becomes involved.
Who's that?
You don't know Chris Hansen? To Catch a Predator?
Is he from Bop? Bop, the Hansons?
No.
Is it called Hanson?
No, he did To Catch a Predator.
Oh, it's a TV show.
He caught predators.
Oh, good. Did he catch on Greg? Can't remember how to say his name.
There was actually this whole thing where Chris Hansen mistakenly sued the wrong person instead of Greg because he's changed his name so many times.
So he went after somebody else.
Yeah, by accident.
Gave him the subpoena. They turned up. They didn't know what was going on.
Then I think at one point Greg tries to sue Chris Hansen for defamation, and he turns up to the court case. This man has one suit, and it was the same suit he wore to his wedding with Lucas. And he posts on Twitter as well, like him with all his legal documents in the elevator. It's such a silly little side note. It's just so stupid. He doesn't take anything seriously. And then in 2021, the documentary, the Discovery Plus documentary I was talking about, Onision in real life, I believe.
That might be something to watch if you fancy dipping a toe in the very murky and very unattractive waters of this person.
You also get to hear from the victims themselves and more detailed accounts. In 2023, Sarah and her legal team officially file a complaint against Greg and Lucas for their abuse of the YouTube platform to lure, groom and recruit underage girls into inappropriate sexual situations, and also claimed that Greg had actually raped her in one instance.
Oh, no.
This is obviously alleged, but I don't think that's a far jump. That's my opinion.
Right.
So after this, Greg announces he is leaving social media permanently.
Great. Why don't you just leave the whole human race while you're at it?
I know. He also faked his death at one point, wrote this whole, obituary for himself saying he'd killed himself because of the woke mob trying to cancel him. His Twitter handle, it says, RIP Onision.
Right, that was how he faked it.
Yeah.
By posting RIP.
But then he comes back, and now he just, kind of exists on the internet.
He does?
Yeah, he has an OnlyFans.
Oh, no, that sounds... Oh, no.
An OnlyFans, for those not in the know, is where people post private pornography of themselves.
We do know because Michelle has brought me up to speed.
Well, I've seen some of Onision's OnlyFans content.
Why would you look at that, Chris?
Someone showed it to me a long time ago and it's burned into my retinas.
How bad was it? Don't tell me all details.
I would like to point out, I can tell this man has been waxed rather than shaved. Waxed and oiled up.
Now I've got it in my mind.
Well, you don't have to see Onision's butthole. So.
Well, I have already seen it, and then you just spelled it out. Oh, no. Well, it was already there in my mind.
Other than his OnlyFans, he still has his Patreon, and he just chats shit on Twitter, and, occasionally he'll be like, I was framed.
So no one's ever taken him to court? No one's ever actually thrown the book at him?
They have. It's never really...
Never stuck.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. Is that the story of Onision, and that's it? You're done?
I'm done.
It's a very unsatisfactory ending, Chris.
Only in 2023 was when Sarah filed complaints legally. There's still time.
It still could happen.
Yeah.
It still could happen. Okay. Wow, Chris, thank you so much for bringing me into the light of the YouTube muckiness that exists.
How mucky was it?
Well, I'm so glad that I wasn't a teenager or a young person during that time. And I'm glad that none of my younger children were either.
I was such a massive fan of this man. And
Ugh.
yeah, he would always post sex tips, sex advice.
How did that land for you?
Well, I think it definitely did alter my brain chemistry for a little bit, because he'd always talk about how women have to be shaved. It's just hygienic. And obviously, as I've grown up, I know that actually not being shaved prevents you from STDs and stuff. This man just chatted the most shit on the internet, and people liked him because he was mildly attractive when he was younger and a bit emo.
I bet he's not now. I'm going to ask my daughter. I'm going to make sure that she's never come across this awful, awful predator. Have you got any tips for parents? How can they protect their children from this kind of nonsense?
I think just keep an eye on what content your children are consuming, just by asking them.
Right. Seen any good sex tips?
Yeah. Go to official websites for that. Not a 25-year-old man's YouTube channel.
Or if you're 8, just don't look for sex tips.
That's probably better advice.
Having open and honest conversations with your children, whether or not you know what they're watching or not, is a really good idea. That's what I tend to do. I will say things like, you've never shown your willy, or you've never shown, you'd never show bits of your body, would you? You'd never send pictures, would you? I suppose the good advice would be to just make sure that your child is not being exposed to predators, because they can start YouTube channels.
I do think YouTube has gotten a lot better. Obviously, they have YouTube for under 13s.
Yeah.
And I think they've gotten better at moderating.
They don't want that. They want the grown-up one. They want the full fat one. They don't want to be restricted.
Well, I guess it's just making sure their accounts are set to under 13s. I think a lot of people, a lot of Gen Zs, especially earlier Gen Zs, such as myself, our parents just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, because it was all new for us.
In terms of the internet.
Still is. There's still things coming out now that we're being enlightened by. We have to go and have a meeting at the school, and somebody will do a PowerPoint presentation and tell us all about these new things and what's happening. The stuff I learned, Chris, I tell you what, boggles the mind. It's a far cry from a predator in a car asking if you want to see their kittens.
What a time.
Listen, Chris, thank you so much for your time today and for telling us all about that horrific man who, I have to go and have a shower now just to get all the yucky off me.
Yeah.
All the horrible things that you've told me. But it's enlightening. As you're not a regular listener, you might not know this, but when we sign off, I'll say something like, wherever you are, and Michelle will say, or the other person will say, whatever you do. And then together we both say, just keep eavesdropping. Do you reckon we can say that together?
I think we definitely can.
For now, I'm going to say goodbye, and we're going to sign off and say thank you so much, Chris, for joining us on Eavesdroppin.
Thank you so much, Geordie, for having me.
And whatever you do,
wherever you are, just keep
eavesdropping.
Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping.